There's a second state of play that's coming in September that looks like it's going to be huge. Next, I got to tell you about this PS5 scam that's come back. And finally, let's talk about 30 years of the PlayStation 1. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation and everything happening in the world of PlayStation. I hope you're having a great week playing a ton of video games. I'm still working through Chronos: The New Dawn. What an excellent survival horror game. I reviewed it in my last video, so if you didn't catch that, go check it out. But man, if you're looking for something new to play on your PlayStation 5 that just is awesome from top to bottom, I cannot recommend Chronos: The New Dawn enough. Let me know what you're playing down in the comments below. Let's get into this first news story here, which is about the upcoming state of play. I mean, they happen around the same time every year, so it's not like a super hard math to predict when they're going to happen, but we got one earlier in the month, which kind of scared everyone because it was about one game. So I liked First Light's state of play. I thought the game looked pretty cool. It looks like a mix of Uncharted and Hitman, and the way I say that is positive, but the way other people online have been saying it is negative. So let me get a temperature read down in the comments, but I don't fault people for wanting a bigger state of play with some new games, and Tom Henderson kind of came out and quelled everyone's fears over at Insider Gaming because apparently Wolverine is actually coming along nicely now after bunches and bunches of delays and internal leaks and everything like that. It seems like they've kind of rebuilt it from the ground up, maybe to be the Wolverine game that was promised to us years ago when that teaser dropped. It's basically going to be like Spider-Man, but more violent from Insomniac with a really cool story. Like, sign me up. That sounds exactly like the Sony era that I grew up in, and that makes me happy. Apparently, the new trailer for the game is ready to go, and everything in it should just bring back all the excitement from when the game was initially announced. I don't think it's that big of a deal that it's been so long. Like, I'm totally happy to wait as long as possible for them to get it ready to be shown off in its best light. Like, the longer you wait is fine because it's just going to be a better game. And they only showed a CGI teaser that was like 30 seconds long. So it's not like they did an extended marketing campaign. They showed off gameplay, they teased the story, then suffered that big leak of internal documents and then let it go dormant for years. They just teased that they were working on it. And as we all know, games take a long time to make these days. So like, take your time on it, get it right. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Another game we have to look forward to that's expected to show up at the state of play is Phantom Blade Zero. It seems like media, when they get their hands on it, because it's very difficult, they don't know how to talk about it. Like, people are saying it looks cool, the combat's awesome, but they're bad at it. It doesn't seem like a game that's previewing very well, so I wish they would release the demo that they've been showing off at shows like TGS or Gamescom or Summer Game Fest. You know, like, they've showed off different demos. I feel like this is a game that would really benefit from being able to be played by the public because, you know, when we play at home, we can get our heads around stuff. There's no timer, there's no pressure. You can actually play the game and get the skills up that are required to beat it. There's a ton of action combat games coming out all the time, but this one from the jump, like from the very first trailer, looked like the one I've been waiting for. It's dark, it's gory, it's just got a great sense of atmosphere, and it's not a Souls-like. Like, I love Souls-likes. I finally beat Elden Ring. It was an excellent experience. I've played basically all of the big third-party ones like Lies of P or Lords of the Fallen. I really enjoy the genre, but I also like the hack and slash action games like Devil May Cry and stuff like that as well. So I'd like to see more of those, and one with the art style of Phantom Blade Zero, I just can't imagine it not being good. So that seems like a perfect game to show up at this state of play because it's been shown off for a while. It should get a release date soon, and Sony has the marketing rights, so that's not like an insane prediction out of nowhere. I think that will show up. Another rumor we've also heard is that gameplay is going to be shown for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, so two big Sony first-party games and one state of play. I mean, that sounds like a showcase level, but it seems like they've replaced showcases with state of plays. The story of this game is not really hooking me as of now, but the actual vibe, the look, the gameplay that we've heard being inspired by Elden Ring and stuff like that, it all sounds awesome. I love Naughty Dog. Despite my issues with the story in The Last of Us Part 2, I really enjoyed playing it, and on top of that, they've made my favorite PlayStation trilogy ever, which is Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 is just my favorite of the bunch. So like, I have no doubt that Naughty Dog's going to deliver an excellent experience on the gameplay and graphics side. I just hope the story can live up to their best games. So like, I think this will be good to show off in a new trailer and kind of convince people like me that this is worth putting at the top of my hyped games list. For a franchise that started during the PS2 era, God of War seems like it just continues to get bigger and bigger as time goes on. I think that 2018 reboot really reinvigorated the series. I really enjoyed it. I played it once on PS4 back when it came out. I'm pretty sure I platinumed it. If I didn't, I got damn close because I beat a lot of the hardest bosses in the game and I sunk hours hours into it. I loved Ragnarok. It's just an excellent experience. I played both of those games on PS4, PS5, and PC, so like I'm a huge God of War fan. It seems like it's going to be a little bit of a longer wait for the follow-up to God of War Ragnarok. So in the meantime, there's apparently a Metroidvania coming out where you get to play as Deimos, Kratos' brother. If you're a longtime PlayStation fan, you've actually seen him before in God of War Ghost of Sparta. That was like about the brother relationship between Kratos and Deimos, and it was awesome. So like seeing him return in a game that's a Metroidvania where he's playable, that's like music to my ears, man. That's exactly what I want to see from God of War. I just hope it can keep the gore levels up that was in the old trilogy, because they have violence and stuff, right? Like all the killing and everything that I love in video games in the new God of Wars. But if you compare it to what you were doing in the Greek saga, it's a little bit toned down. Like they've replaced human enemies more with monsters that bleed orange and stuff like that. So if they are bringing us back to the Greek era to play as Deimos, let's get it back to how it was during the Greek saga. I think people can handle this super M-rated violence. But yeah, this one's been rumored for a long time. It was supposed to show up earlier in the year during the anniversary special thing that they did for God of War. It needed a little more time in the oven. A state of play is perfect for that. And then finally, Marathon's going to get re-revealed, which is crazy because it was supposed to be coming out around now. I want them to get Marathon right. I love extraction shooters. My most played game in the past couple of years is Hunt Showdown 1896. I love Escape from Tarkov. It's finally coming out in 1.0, which means it might get a PS5 release soon. I play Arena Breakout on my phone when I'm walking on the treadmill. I just like that gameplay loop of like hardcore tactical shooter where you go in, loot, get out. It's great. So like if they can fix Marathon, I'll be there day one. I've sunk 1,000 hours into Destiny 2, and it looks like with Sony taking over Bungie, a lot of the practices that made me fall off of Destiny 2, like prioritizing the store, removing content through DLCs, the whole gamut of everything they've done wrong with Destiny 2 seems to be kind of fixing itself with Sony's leadership. So it could be kind of like a start of a new redemption era for Bungie. So yeah, I mean, the art stealing thing is a big deal, right? Like that sucks, but hopefully they're able to kind of still have it have its own visual identity without stolen art and figure out the gameplay loop, because I didn't love it, but it was almost there. It had the great shooting from Destiny. It just needed more extraction shooter elements to really fine tune it. So hopefully that extra development time kind of gave them enough to figure out how to make it work, because I don't want it to fail. They spend a lot of money on Bungie. I'd like to see that deliver for them because they're stuck with them at this point no matter what. The coolest thing is, besides Phantom Blade Zero, every game I just mentioned is technically a first party game. So this will be one of the first state of plays in a very long time where it's all big first party stuff that you can look forward to playing in the future on the PlayStation 5. That's what they've needed. If you guys have been watching for a while, I've been begging for that for years. If this all comes true, and honestly, it all just kind of makes sense, so I think it will. If they include all these first party games on top of some new third party ones we haven't heard of, I think it will continue the trend of state of plays kind of going from mediocre to really good. I love the showcases because they were showing off their best games, but if they show them off anyway at the state of play, it doesn't matter what they call it. It's all about the games at the end of the day, and everything I'm hearing sounds awesome. So yeah, that's probably going to happen by the end of the month. Keep your eyes on the channel, subscribe, set your notifications to all, and you'll know about it as soon as it's announced. The second news story I have for you guys today is about this PS5 scam that keeps coming back because, you know, a lot of people paint Sony as a villain in the sense that they allow a lot of different games on the PlayStation Store. They don't have a lot of checks and balances in place, but like, I like Steam. I really enjoy using Steam, and I could turn off the adult filter if I wanted to and find an insane amount of games that make the stuff that ends up on the PlayStation Store or the Nintendo Switch Store look like, you know, Nintendo games, right? Like there's crazy stuff on the Steam Store and it's easy to avoid. I don't have this problem on the PlayStation Store where I'm getting scammed by scam games constantly. So like, it's a good news story, but I think it's being a little bit blown out of proportion. The whole thing comes down to these publishers looking at games that are super popular on Steam like Repo or Schedule One, and they say, oh, this isn't available on the PlayStation Store. Usually these games are made by small teams using assets that aren't the hardest thing in the world to create. So they whip together their own version over a weekend, and then they'll put it up on the PlayStation Store with a thumbnail that's like 20% different than the original game to try and trick people into buying it. And like, yeah, you're going to get a few people to bite that way who just don't know any better. Like people have 9-to-5s, they've got lives, probably wives and kids. They get on the PlayStation Store and then they see this game that their unemployed friend's been playing on Steam, and they're like, oh, I heard this was good. They download it, they get scammed. It sucks, but now they've kind of fixed it with this new refund procedure where you can just refund a game through through your phone. It is if you haven't downloaded the game, but I feel like if you plead your case and say, look, I thought this was a game that my friends were playing on Steam that was really big. I had no idea I was getting scammed. I don't think it's going to be the biggest deal in the world to get a refund. It shouldn't be happening. Like, they should have checks and balances in place. I've just seen this play out in the past where people want one thing and then they ask a company over and over again, then they get what they want, but then the company takes it 10 steps further. Like, I don't want insanely stringent requirements on the PlayStation Store, because that's how it was during the PS3 era, and it sucked when all my friends were playing these sick Xbox Live arcade games every single week, and the PlayStation Store had the capability to have indie games be downloadable to your console, but I couldn't play them because of Sony's weird rules around, you know, uploading games to the PlayStation Store. And when it comes to early access, they did have a rule in place that didn't allow it. So for a while, early access games that were cool on Steam were showing up on Xbox but not PlayStation. I don't want to go that far back, but I think there should be rules in place to stop these big exploding indie games from being cloned and then thrown up on the PlayStation Store, because obviously that cheapens the experience overall and can ruin someone's night, which sucks, because if you're working a terrible job, all you want to do is come home and enjoy some video games. So playing a scam game just wastes your time, and that blows. And finally, today when I'm recording this video, it is the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation 1 here in North America, which is most relevant to me because I live in North America. I'm 32 years old, so I was a 2-year-old little baby when the PlayStation 1 came out, and I'll never forget the first time I played it. I was over at my Aunt Yvonne's house. She's like a lot younger than my dad. Well, not a lot younger. She's like a younger, cool aunt that I had. Like, my dad was the oldest of 4 siblings, and she was the youngest. So she was the video game aunt who had a PlayStation 1, and she showed me Crash Bandicoot, and I sat there on her living room floor for probably an hour, but it felt like an entire day, and I got as far as I could, and I was absolutely blown away, because until then, my only console experiences were on my Game Boy. My cousins gave my grandpa a Game Boy for his birthday one year, and he didn't even open it. He was like, I don't know how to use this, and he gave it to me, so I was playing games like Tetris, Pokemon Red, all the stuff like that. But then when I saw the 3D graphics of Crash Bandicoot, I was like, I don't understand how games could ever look better than this. Like, it looked like playing a movie, and Crash was just such a cool character that I wanted more. Unfortunately, my parents wouldn't buy me a PS1, but the cool thing that happened is my Aunt Yvonne, when she got the PS1, she gave me her Super Nintendo with all of the games she had bought for it. So I got stuff like Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, tons and tons of awesome games, like Mario Kart was included. Basically every great Super Nintendo game I got from my aunt, and then she would slowly give them to me every time she'd come to my house. It was like a really cool memory. So I would love going to her house to play the PlayStation 1. Then my buddy in middle school got the PlayStation 3 and gave me his PlayStation 2 for $100 with every game he had on it. So that's how I experienced stuff like Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, because he had basically every great game. I don't know why he was willing to part with all those discs, because the PS3 had a built-in PS2 at launch, and he got one at launch, but it worked out for me. And of course, I had the PSP. My grandpa took me out to Somerset Mall in Troy, bought me the PSP with Tony Hawk's Underground 2, and that's like one of my favorite games of all time. I had it on my PS2, I want to say, at the time, but being able to take it on the go was just such a life-changing experience, because my brother was a sports player. He was in baseball, so I had to get dragged to his practices. I had to get dragged to like tournaments and stuff. So having the ability to take PlayStation games on the go, like Tony Hawk's Underground 2, was just a total game changer back in the day. Like, now it doesn't seem that crazy, because you've got the Switch, you've got the ROG Ally, you've got the Steam Deck. All of those can play the same games that the PS5 can play. But like, back then, you had to wait and get separate games. So like, I had Need for Speed Most Wanted 510 or Need for Speed Carbon Own the City. And a lot of them, even though they were spinoffs developed by other studios, were excellent. Like SOCOM and Killzone Liberation back in the day were my first experiences with online gaming, because while the PS2 needed an Ethernet cord to plug in, I couldn't do that at home. I could use my neighbor's Wi-Fi to use my PSP online and download patches for games and everything. It was just a really cool experience. So my PS1 journey probably started around 25 or 26 years ago when I played it for the first time at my Aunt Yvonne's house, but I'd love to hear from you. When did you become a PlayStation gamer? It's just the coolest brand ever. Like, so many great games started with PlayStation, so to see it still thriving alongside pretty much my entire life is awesome. Like, it got pretty dicey at the launch of the PS3, but they figured it out. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.